This is Close Encounters of the Tech Kind.
Flock, it's a company that put in license plate reader cameras. And they did it with an aggressive approach to market adoption. So it's a little camera with a little solar panel charging it, and it's connected to a national database. So there's pros and cons, right? If these cameras are everywhere and they're tracking license plates everywhere and your car gets stolen, they can find you pretty quick. If there's an Amber Alert and you're looking for a car, you can just pull up the database and see, a white Honda Civic with license plate 123. You know where it's at. Cool, we can solve that pretty quick. But what's the downside, guys?
I feel like
If
as you
I'm
describe it, you're just describing every futuristic movie I've ever seen where they show that, and it's never like I can't think of one movie where it's like, look at this great thing we have, this dragnet of cameras, and it's never been like abused. What are you talking about?
Well, I mean, the reader's going to read the license plate perfectly every time, right?
if
Well,
I'm
we
not
know
one
AI doesn't make mistakes,
yeah,
right?
if I'm not one of those people that are involved in the Amber Alert or, Grand Theft Auto or whatever else, they're still tracking me. They're still aware of where I'm coming from and which direction I'm going. And you get enough of these cameras, you're going to follow me all through town.
Mm-hmm. But that's okay, right? Because we're solving crimes. We're going to make sure that you are doing everything you should as a good, upstanding citizen, not committing crimes. We got proof
And
that
what
you're
and what happens when we put AI into the mix and say, analyze this person's behavior, and then all of a sudden I break from routine and I turn left instead of turning right at a certain intersection on a day? Is that going to flag me for something?
No, it doesn't matter.
I don't know. That's suspicious activity coming from Mike.
I know it's not my normal routine, so
He
So
probably robbed
drive
that bank
erratic.
on his way.
Drive everywhere in random directions. Don't take the same path twice. That way, consistency is the red flag.
Pretend like you're in
I
England.
feel like if anything, like just thinking about it, like it takes the humanity out of the system that we have, Like I mean, everybody's just gonna mess up at some point on the road, right? You maybe miss a stop or run a red light. Like it just takes all mercy out of the legal system, if you ask me, which I think is, essential part,
Ooh,
justice. And I mean, think about that, how many
yeah.
times you've been stopped by a cop and, he just leaves you with a warning, right? Well, I mean, there's no
I
warning,
plead the
right? It's
fifth
just
on
gonna
that
immediately give you
question.
something.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of the camera system on I-25 and how it was automatically sending out tickets to people for crossing the lines at the wrong point when there was no indication that it was the wrong point, and it was the cameras that were picking up people as being in the wrong lane and stuff like that. So, um, false positives, I think, are going to be a big thing as well with a lot of these cameras. And, oh, this person's car was in this area at this time. They might be the one that was involved in this when, they just were driving home from work.
Well, Jackson, I think you make the best argument there with there's no mercy. I mean, it's exact justice. You did the thing. You crossed that line, whether it's an inch or a mile, you cross that line. Here's your ticket.
Right. And some people might be like, oh, well, that's a good thing, like let's I mean, that's what the law is. You broke the law or whatever, but I mean, that's just not how we operate as a society, I don't think. We have mercy. I mean, it makes it feel like there's no good people left in the world, right? You know, there's no second
Mhm.
chances.
or third or fourth.
Right. And that's besides the whole point of, your privacy then, right? So like me, if I'm not doing anything wrong, what gives this database or what gives Flock the right to just be tracking me and keeping notes on me all the time, right? I mean, if you had somebody following you around town, taking notes of everything you did and where you went and, what clothes you're wearing, you would probably get a restraining order on that person, no? Like, I mean, it's it feels like
But
the same thing.
did any of us give permission for our data to be tracked like this?
I sure didn't.
Do we get notice?
So where's the incognito? Where's the delete me for this kind of service?
Cloaking device for your car? The Batmobile? That'd be fun.
Well, I think the
So
other important thing to bring up about these is Flock and those who are in favor of these types of systems, they kind of make several points. Like you're already being tracked, on your phone and like all these places. Like, why do you care if it's on the road? Then they make the point of, well, it's to fight crime, and how are you not for that? And then the other point is they try and call these just license plate readers. They call them LPRs, license plate readers. That's not what
yeah,
they
no,
are.
no, no.
That's not the only thing that they are. They are AI powered surveillance because even on Flock's own website, you can look and there they show an example image of a car pulling a trailer. Can't see the license plate, but you can see the trailer and what they're towing. And so they say, oh well, we'll identify it as this black car with these scratches on it and these bumper stickers, and it's carrying this cargo with this colored trailer. So I mean, it is an AI powered surveillance tool. It's not just a license plate reader.
And I think that's the thing is, you hear the question, I've got nothing to hide, so what does it matter? But let's say, Jackson, let's go with the point you just admitted to getting pulled over and talking to a cop, so we'll go with that. When they say, where are you coming
Never been
from?
pulled over.
Well, standard practice is they say, hey, where you heading? Where are you coming from?
Right.
Well, now they've got a database to compare that to. Is that good? Is that bad? Is that a deep search that doesn't have any probable cause? I don't know.
One of the things that Jackson mentioned, all the movies that seem to have come out with this idea and have explored it even before it's actually happened. And one of the things that I seem to remember as a theme is that it's the contrived assumption that there's something more there, because we saw you doing a certain behavior, we're making it more than what it really is. Like, oh, you say you're just coming from your friend's house, but your friend just happens to live in this neighborhood or in this direction or whatever it is. And maybe that one thing by itself isn't a big thing, but then it's also the fact that you're driving a black car and it happens to have tinted windows and it matches, everything starts to match up. So it's like, because, out of the 9 points that we're looking for, you matched 6 or 7 of them. Now we're going to hassle you and give you a hard time. And I think that's the problem, is that with so much data, you can almost make anything fit the narrative, of whatever it is you're trying to find, instead of actually finding the real thing. I think that's what has a lot of people worried, is that their behavior, though at first seems innocent, how do they know that somebody's not going to extrapolate that and stretch it to mean something that it doesn't really mean?
Yeah, I mean, how many people have been near or adjacent to a crime that is being investigated?
Mm-hmm.
Again, cell phones, those have gone through the courts constantly because, yes, they have location data. Yes, they're tracking us. But mostly it's inadmissible in court unless there's an actual reason to go in and get those records.
Mm-hmm.
The records that we've got on this, I think maybe I could say it a different way, Mike, and see if I'm tracking what you're tracking. if an incomplete data set is presented, you can have that data set come to incorrect conclusions.
Mhm.
So just because Jackson's coming from a party with tinted windows, that doesn't mean he was at the party. It just means he was in that neighborhood.
Mhm.
But let's give him the benefit of the doubt.
It's why I
But if we find
prefer
a third
when
data point,
it's
anyway,
why I prefer when looking at statistics to have the raw data in front of me so that I can see what the person that's drawing the data from it is trying to infer with the information. If you don't have the raw data, you're just, for the most part, being lied to by statistics every time.
But that's just it, Artie.
Well,
You said the magic word right there. You said infer.
Yeah.
That's
Mhm.
not absolute proof. That's infer. That's making an assumption. That's making a guess, really, is what it comes down to. It's a best guess. But even, I'm sure there are times that even with an overwhelming large amount of data to say this is the thing, that they could make a guess, an educated guess, and the guess is still wrong because there's that one more variable that they didn't have. That if they'd had that, oh well, that throws everything out the window. It's a totally different thing than what I thought it was.
Well, we know it
And
was his car.
that's
We
one of
know
those.
he was in the area. We know all these things, and the one thing that they're skipping over is the fact that, he was in a hospital bed 3 towns over.
Right.
well, I
Yeah, I guess
mean,
that's a big thing is we're tracking cars. We're not talking the drivers of the cars.
Hmm.
I don't care. Don't track me. Um, I mean, the
Without reason.
right.
You shouldn't have gone to that party. Just saying.
Well, I think the other big differences in the argument that I've heard as well is from those who are in favor of these flock cameras. Uh, they'll say, well, like, you're being tracked already as it is. Like, you go into Walmart, they've got camera systems. You go to an ATM, there's a camera there. But
It's a choice.
yeah, well, there's multiple things there. I'm choosing to go into Walmart. And two, if the police needs that footage, they can't just log in and see the footage from the ATM, from the Walmart, from the street corner, from everything. They have to go to each individual place with some kind of a warrant, and then they can get that information. There has to be a cause, right? There's not just, whenever you want, you can see everyone at all times. That's what's the major difference here is you're creating a centralized database of this information, and it's all being constantly compiled into categories and keeping, a profile of vehicles, and thereby, any vehicle can be traced back to a driver just about. So, uh, you're just that one step away.
So yeah, we've been able to track people using these systems. Um, there's actual lawsuits now. Um, I don't want to call it out specific, but there was a former romantic relationship that ended, and law enforcement person who had Jade with that decided to flag the new boyfriend's car and watched him go everywhere. So with access, and I'm not saying law enforcement has that proclivity. I'm saying that some people, we're all human, using a massive surveillance tool that is yet to be defined. We don't know the guardrails. We don't know the parameters. We don't know any of those things. Humans are using this to do what we do. But if we got a
Yeah,
dragnet system monitoring everybody all the time, you can jump to wrong conclusions pretty quick, especially if it's inaccurate.
yeah, and then just the whole security side of it. You assume if it's only in the hands of police, okay, sure. Well, what's keeping the police from, again, you have maybe somebody in the police force like you're talking about can abuse that system. What happens
It's
if
open
a
to private
logging gets
citizens
leaked?
too.
Yeah, and what if private citizen, you don't give out all sorts of information about yourself to anybody you see. And you certainly wouldn't want to post it in a place that could be potentially vulnerable, right? As soon as you create something like this, you create a massive target on your back for hackers from Russia, from China, from I mean, here in the U.S., wherever.
Oh, they'll
Somebody's gonna
never
want to get
hack in.
their.
It's perfectly safe.
Oh, right, right, of course, yeah, we've heard that one before. Um, so yeah, I mean, it's just there is no safe way to do it. You know,
Mhm.
you can say all day long and preach, well, these are the cybersecurity measures we're going over. There's never been something that is bulletproof. It doesn't exist. So don't
So what if?
store, a national database of that.
What if? Okay, because they're doing this. I mean, the company's valued at billions of dollars right now.
Mm.
Genie's out of the bottle. We got to find ways to contain this. So my thought, because I'm with you guys. I don't like this system at all. I'm taking the devil's advocate here, trying to figure out if there is a good reason to have this system. And I think there is. Let's stop the Amber Alerts from going long term. Let's find those cars. What if there was a court order requirement to track a license plate or a car or whatever?
Even to access the data, I would say, because this is
Yeah.
very
Well,
volatile
I'd say
information.
I would say no. I'd say make the data inaccessible.
Yeah.
Only the identified vehicles are flagged. So it knows where everything, but it can't track and profile everybody all the time. It can only track the people it needs to track.
So
So
no
let's throw
history
away
no history until
99.999% of the
you.
data.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. Like if it's only looking for a specific set, I mean, I'm slightly more inclined to allow that. I still don't like the idea that there is access to that kind of vision, right? I mean, to have
Mhm.
those viewpoints around town, wherever. But
Over
the biggest gripe
4,000
that I have
communities
is
in
if
the
you're.
US.
Say that again.
Over 4,000 communities in the US have these cameras installed.
Mhm.
So yeah, I mean, if you were only tracking, like, say the police has a list of um license plates they want you to track, or descriptions of a car. Sure, I'm a little bit more inclined to that, but I feel like you still don't get rid of that abuse type of thing. You lessen the kind of the surface there because you're not keeping a history of everyone all the time. But I mean,
So
it still doesn't stop somebody from abusing that and putting somebody on the list that maybe doesn't shouldn't be on that list, and now they're tracking you live.
so I like to think behind the motivations, right? We got these in 4,000 communities. We're tracking everybody. The cost benefit there, right? What are they actually tracking here? We've heard the phrase data is the new oil. So finding criminals, okay, we're literally costing billions of dollars. And we're going to find dozens of criminals, maybe hundreds per day. Is that worth the millions and millions of dollars a year that we're pouring into this system to find those tens and twenties of people?
So I'm gonna interject with I'm reminded a bit of London. London has for many years been called the city with the most cameras in it, and there's not a street that you walk down that you're not being recorded by somebody or something. And even with the amount of coverage that they've got, you still have so many unsolved crimes, so many things of just like cars getting stolen and never recovered. And I won't get into more horrific things, but the one while I was visiting was um, cell phone theft, and it's
Mhm.
still going on today, many years later. People get on a bike, cover the license plate, and they'll ride around and grab cell phones from people that are just walking the street. Still a
So that's
problem.
that's kind of what I'm saying is, there's ways of beating the system, but they're tracking all of us. I think there's a different product that Flock is pushing than public safety. And that's what I'd love to see journalists get in and check out, and what are we doing? What is the real reason? Why are we putting a camera on every corner? Because it's not American interests that are being served here. But I don't want to get too conspiratorial on this. But I did want to talk about it and hear your thoughts. I wanted to offer the tagline, the way that they're presenting it, the sales materials. Sales materials don't include all the court cases they're facing right now. For some reason, they just don't lead with that information. But any last thoughts on this?
Yeah, I got one last one, and this one actually comes from Louis Rossman. I watched this video
It's a good
earlier
video.
about this. He does a good job of kind of laying it out. But he gives an example of Austin. The city of Austin spent about $1.2 million in these cameras. They scanned over 100 million license plates, and they got about 165 arrests. And he did the math, and that's about $7,000 per arrest. And so he makes the argument, what else could you use that $7,000 for? Because that's not just the police department's money. I mean, that's taxpayer money, right? So I would rather that $7,000 maybe be put towards more just actual police work, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
What are those numbers again? How many cameras?
$1.2 million in
Oh,
cameras. I don't know how many
$1.2 million.
cameras.
They're about
Lewis says they
$4,000
scanned
a
over
pop.
So
per
and
camera.
then
With an annual fee of like $3,000
Good
per
grief.
camera.
Go ahead, Mike.
okay, and then so what were the other numbers now? 1.2 million for the camera system, right?
1.2 million for the camera system. They got about 165 arrests. And they said that they scanned over 100 million license plates.
Oh, 100 million license plates
Or 100 million scans of license plates.
and
Right.
168.
165.
165. That's a really low success rate. Like, that's a lot of data to grab just for 165 arrests. Wow.
Well,
I would have
and
thought that they would have had a higher, it would have been higher, like in the, at least in the thousands, maybe, I would think, but I don't know.
Over what time
well,
period?
and
I don't know. I don't see it here.
I think it's total.
Yeah, could be
Oh.
from.
I mean, it's so short that we're within a year. So,
But
but
that's not very
that's what I'm saying,
encouraging.
guys. Is this is a lot of money we're spending for such a little return on crime,
Right.
and it's a recurring revenue model for the company. So, where's that going to go?
Gonna make somebody rich.
I mean, so here's the thing though, but it's not just that. It's 1.2 million for the camera system. You made 160-ish arrests. Now you're paying a judge and lawyers and court people to process those people, the law enforcement to process those people. So it's the cost of all that.
Oh, they would have anyways.
What are these people guilty of? Like, what are their crimes? And it's like, yeah, it's a huge. To me, it sounds like it's a huge expense. I mean, if some of them are like really dangerous people and need to be taken off the streets, I get that. That's good that they're off the streets, but could have that been done cheaper? Like, I don't know.
Could you have just hired another police officer and a good detective, put in some good training
Or
into their program,
100.
and then
Right. And yeah, you could have done that for a lot less than 1.2 million plus expenses,
and you're
Well, and
creating
here's the other-
jobs and all of that. But go ahead, John.
Here's the other question: is of those 165, like you were saying, Mike, what was the crime? But is the crime discovered by AI, or was a human behind it looking at the data to say, "Hey, we have a problem. Let's use this tool."
Let's
And
find
that's
out.
where I'm
I'd
at.
love to know where
I-
he got those numbers actually, and take a look at it myself. But Again, that just
Well,
kind
I
of
think
comes from Lewis.
we're at a point where we need to ask the question. We need to lobby our representatives and say, don't take humans out of the equation. So you put enough cameras in and put enough AI behind it, we're not to get all conspiratorial again, but how far are we from future crime?
I was just going to make the Minority Report reference because it
Yeah.
does feel like the you've got the precog and you're going to commit this crime, so we're going to arrest you for it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Humans can't be removed from the decision on a human fate. Justice without mercy, that's not life. But we got to protect everybody. So I think there's a good balance here. Push for the balance is my advice.
Yeah,
You
I'm
know,
with
let's use-
Jackson. If we go and we say the system's there for catching people we know are tied to bad things, that's fine.
Yeah.
No,
with the proper
it's still not fine.
with the proper paperwork and due process and whatever you want to have attached to that, I'm fine with that. But just to capture data willy-nilly and then later decide, oh, we need to look at this now.
Mhm.
I don't think that's a good idea.
Yeah, I think people should investigate people. Computers shouldn't investigate people because you can look at specific data points to find conclusions that aren't in reality.
Right.
All right. You remember Flock, right? Those cameras that are placed everywhere, tagging your license plate and just putting it in a database.
It's my favorite company.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's a TV station south of us down in Denver. They did an expose on it, and Boulder police were using Flock cameras. It's an interesting system. Somebody kind of gave behind the peak on how the system's working. If you've got a Flock camera and you're looking up records for somebody's license plate, let's say 123 ABC, you search a national database. So that database tells you where ABC 123 is, or 123 ABC, whatever. It will tell you where they are, where they've been, and give you all those records. Do you know where it searches this database?
How do you mean?
When you do the search, it's in their national database, which means everywhere in the country is searched for 123 ABC.
So every state.
Every municipality, every jurisdiction, every camera. So if they've got 90,000 cameras, they're all feeding the information back. It'll tell you everywhere that combination has been. Boulder had reported. Now you can choose. Do you want to share your data with the national database, or do you want to keep it local to yourself? And Boulder had shared with the national. They got 424,000 requests for license plates in the month of February, according to Denver 7.
Holy cow.
500,000 hits.
From where? Just from
the entire
across
country.
the nation.
Are these cameras detecting which state these license plates are from, or is it just the numbers on the plate?
So
We don't know.
It can get the numbers on the plate, and it can also identify driver and vehicle if there is no plate. Like if it's the front of the car and they're from a state that doesn't require front and back plates, they can still identify whose car it is.
Oh yeah.
I can
Yeah, the cameras don't just get your license plate. They have a fingerprint of your car. So if you've got a dent, you didn't wash it for a few days, whatever, a bumper sticker, it's a unique characteristic for your car, and it remembers that. So
Yeah, if they're doing all of that, I guarantee you if they can, they're getting the state. Like if they can see it, they're going to do it. And so, and I really like the way Louis Rossmann kind of framed this, because the way Flock and the way that it's being presented in governments or city councils or whatever, saying these are license plate readers. And Louis Rossmann makes a very good point of they are not license plate readers. They are AI powered cameras. Because if they were just license plate readers, they wouldn't be creating a fingerprint of your car that says, "Oh, you've got this bumper stick, this bumper sticker, this dent, and this you're carrying this trailer, or whatever." And it's very clear on Flock's website that this is what they're doing. They advertise it, and so we have to be very careful about where we're going as far as, okay, are we implementing license plate readers, or are we actually just implementing an AI surveillance system across the nation?
So I'm gonna take us down a different path here real fast because I think we've identified the potential power the system has, but I want to talk about the risk that we're talking about. I just saw a video documentary on the Marriott data breach that happened. 500 million overnight stays were cracked and shared with the penetrating hackers. So, okay, somebody stays in a hotel. What does that matter? 500 million records of overnight stays. What does that matter? Well, it's huge, actually. So the punchline of this video was the hackers got in through a vulnerability on a property that was acquired by Marriott. Marriott's team didn't do their due diligence on the security side. And so they adopted the legacy sysadmin account of the compromised system that they found out, China, the nation state, 4 years worth of continuing access to all the transactions. So let me put it another way. Everybody was concerned because you could now do correlative attacks and research people's behaviors. You could say, okay, these people are visiting Bangladesh and then Moscow and then all these other places. They must be a foreign diplomat or they're on vacation a lot. Let's find out. Okay, so they're staying in DC. Okay, so now they're in DC a lot. They're now going international travel. Let's flag them. And then as a spy event, you place your assets there at those hotels where those people are staying to then potentially recruit or change their mind or do something, right? You now know where your enemy is going. You guys might know where my mind is on this now. If we've got these Flock cameras recording everything, we're not just recording civilians. We're recording everybody. We're recording the military vehicles. We're recording the civilian contractors that go into military bases. We're recording all of our first responders. Where are our assets at? How do they respond to events? All of this information is now gathered and collected in a central database.
It's fine though, John. They're going to keep it safe, aren't they? They're going to lock it down. They said they would. They're going to do it.
It's going to be just as secure as TransUnion or the IRS, because those places won't get hacked again. We got a problem here, and I really would love for somebody to raise these questions of what is this data being used for? What is the retention? Why are we doing this? And stop recording people in mass like this. Now I got a part 2. Go and ask questions on part 1, though.
Well, I think the other thing is, I think some people might be like, oh, well, that's all speculation, But I think the evidence there is evidence that the system is already being abused. There were already cases of people stalking other people using the system that they had access because they were just an officer in some municipality. Now they have access to a national database of where people have been. I mean, it's not just speculation. I think that's something else that's really important to make a point of here, is that this kind of stuff happens and is happening. And so the fact that we're just chugging along and putting these cameras everywhere is crazy to me.
In mass. Well, so the KGB, so not China, yet another foreign adversary. They call it trajectory assessment. Where is the asset going to go next? And so they set humans down to look at where people have been to guess where they're going to go. So you throw AI against this. Then we got a predictive behavior analysis on where John's going to drive next week. I don't like that.
Yeah.
Of
And the
course, I'd
other
like to
thing
know where I'm going next week. That'd be get some predictability in my life.
Yeah, tell me my schedule so I don't have to figure it out myself.
Well, and you can't access this data. So let's talk. In a perfect world, you can't access data without an actual like court case or court order or something. The instances of, and Louis Rossmann brought this up, the instances of ASDF being a case number is very, very, very common. More common than is statistically allowed. So there's probably people just using a mash your hand on a keyboard approach to putting in a case just to get access to the database. There's no checks, there's no balance, and I'm worried that there's no oversight.
Yeah.
Who
Well,
watches
the other
watches?
thing, I mean, there's just so many points of attack here, right? When you open up a national database like that, and then you give access to that national database to just about anybody, and I don't mean to put it like that, but I mean, if you're giving access to every single police department, granted they have to submit some sort of a court case or whatever. I mean, the bottom line is that access is being given at some point, fed down the line to way too many people. So there's your first point of attack. Okay, you already have a huge attack surface. You can get in there from lots of many ways. And then you think of, okay, well, where's that data being stored? So you can just get around the whole authentication part, and then you just go straight to the data, or then you get to, other security measures. I mean, there's just so many points where there is no way to keep the system completely secure. There's no way to keep any system completely secure. And so it's better to just not have it. What are we gaining having this system? And I don't know that the evidence shows that we're actually gaining or saving anything actually by implementing these systems, even from a financial standpoint. The money that we're spending on these cameras and the databases and the water it's going to take to run all these farms and AI server farms. Like, I mean, there's just so much that I think people don't realize is going on behind the scenes. That also just I don't know if it really makes sense from a financial standpoint either.
Well, and the battle cry on this is we're going to stop bad guys in their tracks. There's been enough false positives on things to make anybody think, well, are we really solving problems? Or are we creating others while we're solving problems? When you pull somebody from their car at gunpoint that is completely innocent, but they're now decided that, the AI has decided that they are a criminal. That's rough. I mean, I can't get behind that.
At what point does everybody become the bad guy?
That's the big thing. Now let me give you part 2 on this. Flock is introducing microphones. Yeah.
Why?
This is what happens when you give an engineer a project and they just ignore all ethics. Like, take a moment and think about where this could possibly go instead of just making this cool system. Because, like, let's be honest, it's really cool. It's from an engineering standpoint, that's super cool. Putting these, this, you can track things from all across the world. Super cool. Ethics wise, terrible idea.
In Cheyenne, there's recently been in the news, because you talk about microphones. They're trying to pass, I think they did pass, can't remember where it's at now, a vehicle noise ordinance, because Cheyenne has had a problem recently of, there have been some people who own some motorbikes and some loud cars, and they've been cruising up and down some of the popular streets in town, and even the interstate near my house as well. So, I mean, I get it that, let's be respectful of people when it's later at night. People are trying to go to bed, trying to get their kids to sleep, whatever. We don't need loud cars and diesel trucks and whatever roaring by just for the fun of it because they're deciding, have a late night cruise or something. And so this got into their system of, we need to pass an ordinance to, eliminate this, put fines and everything, punish people for having their cars not factory spec and not, following some kind of a noise ordinance. And so I can see now, like, if you put microphones on these things, it's going to give people a reason why they'd want to have a loud vehicle. Like, let's suppose that, there's conversation going on in the car. And if everybody's driving an electric vehicle that hardly makes any noise, then yeah, you're going to be able to hear that conversation. If I decide to drive my Harley Davidson or big diesel truck by with, the loud exhaust and mufflers and everything that make me sound tough and cool, then that might mask out that conversation. I'd be interested to see how that technology works, but I can see it going both ways to supporting the ordinance. Whereas if you're picking up the ordinance, you're also picking up, the noise from the vehicle. You're also picking up conversations and things that are probably otherwise privileged. I mean, just because I'm in a public place doesn't mean that I intend for my conversation with my person sitting next to me to be public knowledge.
Well, it's not public. It's in a private server that nobody can access without a court order.
Yeah, but I mean,
right.
I
that's
trust.
Where I'm at
I trust everybody who's going to touch that system. I mean, really, do I? I apparently I'm supposed to, right?
Well, every system that we've looked at has a vulnerability, has a chance of getting broke into. You throw enough good hackers at a target, and they will get in. Otherwise, ransomware wouldn't be a thing,
right?
I mean,
and they're making it bigger and better, and all they're doing is just making that target nice and big and juicy for whoever wants to get into there.
Yeah, I mean, we just had our cell phones get compromised for years. Foreign actors were in our cell phones. I mean, those watching, go back in our podcast. It was really frightening how you had literally years of exposure, a copy of every text, and we don't know if it was voice too, but a call, every record of your calls was copied off to a foreign adversary. So now they know where all the cars are. Where I'm saying this is a huge problem for our national security, because now everything that's in that system can be dissected, and we can find out where the movements of our first responders, our military, the support structure for military. If I said 80% of the contractors got their gas from one particular gas chain, so I blow up that gas chain's computer system, wait 3 days, and then pull the next attack. You stress out the supply chain. Now you stress the military, and the military is going to be slow to respond, and it's just going to add fuel to the chaos. I can see all kinds of ways a foreign adversary could use this kind of knowledge to their advantage, and we're not going to see any benefit. As a matter of fact, I don't see any benefit to having them in the first place, other than finding those 2 or 3 bad guys. I'd rather spend these hundreds of millions of dollars that this company has on more police, good police, some detective work, hunt down these people that are the bad guys, get an airtight case instead of a camera on a stick. Amazon's Ring is now feeding data to Flock Security.
Oh,
I thought they were just.
I don't know when the go live is.
I thought it was just negotiations to do this.
If it's released to the public, it's past negotiations. It's probably going to happen. So I don't want to belabor this, because we talked pretty good last time about it. Anybody watching, go check out last week's podcast. That was awesome. Here's what I encourage everybody to do. Get involved. Stop this before it's a thing. A couple points that I learned since last week. There are Supreme Court cases against putting a GPS tracker on a car. You legally can't do that.
Hmm.
You need a warrant to put the GPS tracker on the car. Okay, I like that law. Let's keep that. But we've effectively put a GPS tracker on all cars 24/7 and keeping that record forever.
Or until AWS goes offline because of DNS errors.
Yeah,
And
true.
that's the hilarious part is Ring is down too.
Yep.
So here's the caution I would like you to express to your senators. You know, there's this whole thing of diplomatic isolation. You know, and again, no politics, but the politicians don't have the rules apply to them the way it applies to the civilian population, right? There's different classes. Flock cameras don't care about classes. Everything is recorded. If you're a politician, if you're on their staff, you're recorded also, and your data is not being deleted. So keep that in mind. So please, everybody, let everybody that you know about this, talk about this, talk about it a lot. It's not just surveillance on civilians, it's surveillance on everybody. And now they know where you live, and they're going to watch you walk in your house, what groceries you got, what you're carrying with you. Do you have your kids with you? It's too much information.
Mm-hmm. And so then the whole Ring partnership is that Flock's database would just merge with Ring.
I don't know if the databases merge. I think it's more of just
They're just going to
API
adopt
connections.
it. Yeah, just adopt the Ring database, the Ring data into Flock's system.
Yeah, no, that sounds terrible. And
I mean, I see this as a one-way deal. If you're someone who uses the Flock system, you'll be able to have access to everything. That doesn't mean you as a Ring doorbell user is going to get access to the corner street.
And
Right.
Artie, tell me, which company is it Amazon owns for the home vacuums? Is it Roomba?
I'll have to check on that. I think
So
Roomba
your
is still
vacuum
their own
cleaner
thing.
is now your vacuum cleaner is going to be attached to Flock Safety.
Man,
oh man.
talk about a vacuum cleaner that sucks.
Vacuum sucks, service sucks, cloud sucks. What is this?
Well, the
I
other
mean,
thing too is
vacuums
that-
Cloud
are-
sucks, it's called a
vacuums-
tornado.
Vacuums are supposed to suck, but not in that way. Okay.
that
We're worried
reminds
about
me of the
things
whole.
talking back to China.
Reminds me of the whole thing with the routers, where these 5-6G routers, they're able to produce basically Wi-Fi scans of your apartment or house or wherever your router is,
Oh yeah.
and they're
really
like, "Oh, it could be used as a security system, and also we can see into your home."
So, what you're probably thinking of,
And they
John,
are.
is that Amazon attempted to, or at least wanted to buy the Roomba company, which is iRobot. So
Mhm.
that didn't go through.
Oh, good. Oh, good.
Go
That
Roomba.
means Roomba is safe from Flock for now. That'll be a
Still mapping
separate
your house.
negotiation. And yeah. Well, I mean, the doorbell on the side of your house, you just crank the microphone way up, you can hear inside the house.
And if you've got the right technology behind that, you can actually map out, based upon the acoustics, the interior of the house. Talk
That
about
would
scary.
be really, really crazy. I know you can do it. That would be like hardcore serious detective work if somebody's trying to do that.
It's an interesting time. So again, I don't want to tell people what to think and how to think, but this is one of those times I'll say Flock Safety is not named correctly.
Flock surveillance
should
is
be-
more like it.
So let's end on a happier note. Flock cameras.
Oh,
Speaking of dystopia.
Did someone declare open season for hunting the flock?
Yes.
oh, it is a happy
It
note.
is.
Ooh.
it is starting to, I'm seeing it in the news right now where people are starting to get involved, voice their opinions, and push back. I can't point to any resource that I've seen on people reverse engineering the flock cameras, but anybody with a search tool can find that information out there. And there's some fascinating information coming out. Jackson,
Mhm.
what's the stupidest thing you can do when you're programming a security device?
um, uh, make it not secure.
But
Hard code a default password into it that's super easy to guess.
Oh, Mike's
Mike
got it.
gets Mike for the win. There's hard-coded admin access, not just inside the box. Somebody found a way to channel the flow of information from a flock camera and put a packet capture on it,
Mm.
and it is using hard-coded authentication to the cloud.
Nice.
You'd think with a name like Flock Security, that security would be something that they do.
Well, you forgot flock was in the name. They all have the same mind, pea-sized brain of a bird.
We have got to get involved. Anybody that's listening to this, get involved. Voice your concerns.
Okay, wait,
Because
so if that is the case, then I mean, what's going on? Like, I feel like there's got to be an immediate like, whoa, whoa, whoa! You know, we've been using this. There's now this national database, and to get in, and there's a hard coded password. Like, where is that conversation going? Like, is that coming up?
so the company is using lawyers to make people stop. They're not fixing the security issue that I know of. Let's be very clear and very honest. I don't know because Flock doesn't talk about what they're doing. But I do know what I'm seeing in some of the forums that I'm reading and some of the channels I watch. They're stupid simple to break into. Now, the only reason I'm comfortable talking about this is because I'm seeing other YouTube channels talk about this, and they haven't been kicked off yet. Hopefully, we don't get marked, but if we do, we do. Get involved. Voice your concerns, because one of the things, and I'm going to be very cautious on this. I know I keep saying that whenever I jump on to hot takes. The idea that the cameras are watching people and only people is a mistaken ID. Some of these people have broke in, and they're now tracking law enforcement and military. So the thought I offered a couple weeks back, that's a point of concern, that's a security vulnerability, it's not just been heard, and I hope our podcast wasn't the source of that, because police are being tracked using these cameras, their traffic patterns, their patrols, all that stuff. It's not good.
Can I get that information so I can know when and where I can speed?
Right? I mean, it's an interesting thing. So I'm watching a lot of pushback right now.
That's
I want to
good.
share that celebration.
Cool. Awesome.
Reach out to your senators, reach out to your congresspeople. Share your thoughts, everybody. The cameras are now getting outfitted with Wi-Fi and Bluetooth scanners.
Why?
Now, this hasn't been verified, but the announcement was leaked out that as you drive by, your Bluetooth beacons are going to get heard, tracked, tagged, just like your pictures. So there's that.
I literally, they were like, I can't even begin with this crap. Because
Why?
Flock-
Hollywood can already triangulate my cell phone position, you know? I mean, why?
Well, yeah, it's like why, but then also their devices were already proven to be extremely vulnerable over both Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, and now we're trusting them to keep track of
No,
all of us over
we're not
Wi-Fi.
trusting them. I don't know who's trusting them. I mean, if the system was rolled out different, I could see it as like a legitimate surveillance tool that follows the laws. But so far, I haven't seen it follow the law. If I set up a war scanner out there, like capture everybody that drives by. Google did this with their Street View cars. I don't know if you remember that one. So Google had this project of 20%. So 20% of your time is working on other non-Google projects to help Google be a better company and do better things and make the world a better place. Super cool idea. That's where Street View came from. Somebody, as part of their 20% project, said, well, let's put Wi-Fi scanners on all the cars and map out all the spots in America. It's like, okay, let's do that. And they did. Then somebody got a little more aggressive with it and said, okay, any open Wi-Fis, hop in and see what computers are connected to this open Wi-Fi. That's when regulations came in and said, no, you can't do that. It's a violation of privacy. And I agree with that. I'm not fighting for Flock. I think we should have a real discussion about it, not just, put it in, solve it later. Forgiveness is not easier than permission in this case. Is there good? Sure. But at what cost? We find some bad guys, but now we've found everybody.
Yeah, I don't see it as any different of a conversation as Flock's original mission, which was to use visual cues to categorize and track people or cars. So yeah, I see. I mean, it's no different if you're now figuring out where my phone is at rather than myself, because
advertisers have been doing it for years.
it's true.
I mean, the technology's out there. Why are we doing it in another direction too? Like this, it's weird.
Honestly, a lot of the stuff that we've been discussing, the 3D printer law and, Flock cameras, they really dive into Fourth Amendment issue.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been found in some rulings that like Supreme Court rulings stating that even though you're in public, you still have a certain right to privacy. So it's...
And I hear that one a lot.
They need...
We're supposed to not have any right to privacy in public space because there we are. But then anti-stalking laws?
Mm-hmm. There's you've got people that are rolling out technology without taking the considerations into effect as to how it can be used poorly. And at the same time, you've got people taking technology and looking at how it can be used poorly and then applying that to all usage of it. So it's two sides of things. The 3D printer law is definitely somebody saying, well, this 0.0001% case has got to be the gold standard that we use for anything dealing with these devices. And, give me $15 in a hardware store, I can make something that would last longer. I mean, just saying that. Derailed myself.
So those that say that we should not have a right to privacy on public spaces. Jackson, if I decide to hold 100 yards distance from you as you're driving around town, and I follow you at 100 yards distance in every public space you're at, you would not be okay with that, right?
Nope.
You're in public. You should have no right to privacy, right? So I can surveil you from 100 yards away.
Creep.
It's wrong, right? This is the this is the thing, is the laws were written that you have no right to privacy in public spaces because a person has a camera and took a picture. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about somebody following you point A to point B constantly, always, and knowing everything that you've done.
And then logging that.
Something that I will point out requires a warrant for the police officers to actually do.